Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. It is Friday, the 13th of February, 2015, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here are tonight's top stories.
Tonight, a former FBI advisor warns of implantable technology. Then, McDonald's asks, would you like a vaccine with that? And Viacom propaganda targets the alternative media. That's next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
And as the mainstream media is discredited, they're going to segue to Comedy Central and movies and drama. That's where the real propaganda is.
Well, this first story is something that I alluded to earlier this week in another report. Basically, how are we going to protect ourselves from hackers if they are attacking a chip that's embedded directly under our skin, somewhere in our bodies? This is a very real possibility, and of course, nobody has the answer to that, but we're just going to go ahead and move forward with this type of technology. I had a lot of trolls there in the YouTube comments saying, oh, that's impossible. Why are you fear-mongering? Well, now an AI expert has come out warning that exact same thing. He says future hackers could wipe people's memories. This is top futurist and former advisor to the FBI and Interpol, Mark Goodman. He told Singularity Hub that neurohackers could kidnap hostages and threaten to delete their AI-enhanced brains in return for a ransom. He said, of course, this is all theoretical now. We don't have the capacity to do this, but he thoroughly believes that it will be forthcoming. Goodman pointed to recent experiments with EEG technology. It illustrates how brain waves could be read to obtain someone's credit card PIN number 30% of the time. So forget memorizing those passwords, because that data can be pulled just from using a brain scan, or people use this new technology that's out there to just pull your data out of thin air. But he also points to how they're using treatments for veterans suffering with PTSD. Basically, they can isolate and minimize bad memories. So they would be able to use that knowledge to threaten to wipe somebody's lifelong memories of their wife or daughter if that ransom isn't paid up. So this is a very real possibility. It's coming sooner than we all believe, and nobody really has any idea what to do about it. But you know, if you think about it, it's not really you or I that's probably going to have to worry about this right away, because it's the elites that want to upload their brains to live infinitely in cyberspace. And of course, they're going to be the ones that have the money to pay off that hefty ransom. Might be a little poetic justice there. But until then, all of our minds are already being manipulated and controlled. We can avoid it as much as we want, avoid television, avoid the mainstream media and all of that. But since the advent of television, this whole mind control, they've been quite successful at it. Obviously we watch commercials and stuff, and we know that they can easily program us to want a genetically modified hamburger, even though we're not even hungry. They just know how to put those images and those sounds, and it's like the perfect hour of the night, and it makes people just want to go run to Mickey D's. Just like they can flash something on screen to associate an idea with a specific agenda. We've seen this again and again. They've attacked Alex Jones and INFOWARS specifically. We've been featured in a plethora of video games, as well as movies, entertainment releases. There was some pedophile in a movie last year that came out, and his name was Alex Jones, so conveniently. There was another mainstream media news outlet that had a picture of a red-faced Alex Jones with the word racist, and the news anchor was like, we've got to get rid of these people, even though they didn't give any example whatsoever of Alex saying anything racist, but they were just using his picture to just associate people with that idea, associate Alex with that idea. Many, many examples. Well, now this just came in from an unofficial INFOWARS reporter, Adam Green. Yes, you can send us in your well-produced reports, and if we like your story, we will air it. But anyway, he points out how Comedy Central is part of the ongoing demonization campaign against INFOWARS and Alex Jones. They used an INFOWARS clone website in one of their programs.
The mainstream media's propaganda campaign to marginalize Alex Jones and INFOWARS continues to be deployed in full force and on all fronts. But the latest attack did not come from the usual suspects, MSNBC, Media Matters, Salon.com, or Fox News. Apparently, the mainstream media believes it's just not enough to demonize and lie about INFOWARS in the news alone. The attacks must also cross over into entertainment, where the audience lets their guard down and are more susceptible to the conditioning. A recent episode of Comedy Central's show Broad City, aired February 11, 2015, featured an unfavorable cameo of the INFOWARS website. The episode begins with a quick shot of the main character's computer. Here it is.
What is in the box? Actually, that.
It's only 2 seconds, and it goes by very fast. Here it is again.
Actually, that.
It was quick, but it says Michael Jackson lives in Richard Branson's space condo. The header on the fictitious website says Conspiracy Wars, which is clearly an exact replica of INFOWARS' website. This is more than just a harmless, meaningless joke. It is a carefully placed subconscious mind conditioning technique. The producers of the show went out of their way to create a fake website to condition their audience. They associate an outrageous headline with the image of INFOWARS' trademark website header, which then gives their viewers a subliminal input that INFOWARS is an unbelievable and untrustworthy news source. This quick subliminal message may be enough to dissuade someone from reading an INFOWARS article they may come across without them even knowing why. This isn't the first time Alex Jones has been demonized through subliminals in entertainment. In 2013, a movie called Prisoners came out starring Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. The antagonist in the movie was a child abductor rapist conveniently named Alex Jones. Some people may object and say these are no big deal or they're just coincidences, but when you consider the mainstream media's repeated dishonest attacks on INFOWARS, the war on Alex Jones becomes overtly clear. I'm Adam Green, reporting unofficially for INFOWARS.com. Make sure to subscribe below to know more news and catch the sneak preview to my upcoming documentary film, The Conspiracy Theory Conspiracy.
When 3 Muslims were gunned down by a white guy in Chapel Hill, North Carolina this week, immediately the headlines were saying hate crime, domestic terrorism, but all of that abruptly came to an end, and all of a sudden it was murder over a parking dispute. Why is that? Well, this is from Joseph Farah at WorldNet Daily. He says, because Craig Hicks, the suspect who's charged in the murders, is an atheist, a fan of the Southern Poverty Law Center. He likes MSNBC's Rachel Maddow, the science guy Bill Nye. He likes same-sex marriage groups and the Freedom from Religion Foundation. So he is immune to the label. And he hasn't even been charged with a hate crime because, after all, we know that progressives aren't haters, right? So here again, we see another example of the Southern Poverty Law Center being linked to an actual act of domestic terror with multiple murders. And yet again, it's Tea Partiers and conservatives and Christians who represent the real threat to America. Why is that? Back it up. But even when they can't pin the blame in such a way, they can still find some way to spin it to fit their agenda. And this is courtesy of the Daily Beast. They say, parking dispute or hatred of Muslims, we still don't know what motivated the slaying of 3 young people in Chapel Hill, but this is certain. The murder weapon was a handgun. The weapon that changed everything was almost certainly the one that Hicks was licensed to carry, thanks to the prevailing reading of the Second Amendment. And they go on to point out how he had no criminal record, never had any apparent psychological issues. He was just a self-prescribed, grumpy old man. And of course, he was a white guy too, a white guy with a gun. So even if he is a progressive and has all of these liberal ideas, that right there is the domestic he fits the bill of the domestic terrorist being a grumpy white guy with a gun. Now, they gloss over the fact that he termed himself a gun-toting liberal on Facebook, and they just focus on his alleged obsession with a movie about a man who snaps and goes on a shooting spree. And they take this from an ex-girlfriend of his who says that he was obsessed with this movie. You know, what does that mean? Did he watch it over and over again, or did he just really like it? Was he a fan? But either way, they're not going to let this tragedy go to waste. If they can't pinpoint it on a conservative, then they're going to just pull in what is the common denominator there, the weapon. And it's almost as if they want to act like no one was ever killed before guns were invented, as if we don't have mass stabbings going on. But we know that gun grabbing has been the agenda for quite some time, and the only way that they're going to be able to do that is to continually program the mass of citizenry here in America to do away with guns. They're doing a very good job on it with Common Core, hitting the youth, basically rewriting the Second Amendment so kids growing up these days have no idea how America was even founded and why and how we got here. But basically, it's just all about programming the populace to hand over the guns. And luckily for them, they've got this mass programming under control because they've been working on it for quite some time.
I give the CIA a total credit for sponsoring and initiating the entire consciousness movement, counterculture events of the 1960s.
Psychological warfare is described by Webster's dictionary as the use of propaganda, threats, and other psychological techniques to mislead, intimidate, demoralize, or otherwise influence the thinking or behavior of an opponent. The Nazis referred to it as the worldview attack.
I speak for the unnamed brave millions homeward bound to take up the challenge of that future which they did so much to salvage from the brink of disaster.
After the Allied victory in Europe of World War II on May 8, 1945, the Office of Strategic Services, the intelligence agency formed during World War II, conducted Operation Paperclip, a program in which over 1,500 Nazi German scientists, technicians, and engineers were smuggled into the United States. President Truman's order concerning Operation Paperclip expressly excluded anyone even remotely associated with the Nazi Party. However, the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, a subcommittee of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, expunged from public record all Nazi Party affiliations in regards to the German scientists. From this exodus of evil sprung a variety of mind control operations.
And that was just a little snippet from a very hard-hitting piece coming from John Bown. We're going to have the full report in its entirety coming next Tuesday. You're not going to want to miss that. It's all about MK Ultra programs going way back. Now, if you are looking for some last-minute Valentine's plans, look no further. McDonald's has got you covered. The Golden Arches in Tampa, Florida are offering sweethearts an opportunity to create your own McMemories. One location is going to be transformed into a sit-down restaurant with candles and tabletop flowers, and the counter employees are going to be retrained as waiters, offering table service and refills. And lucky you, they're going to be accepting phone reservations. Who says romance is dead? But that's not all Mickey D's is planning on pumping out at their restaurants. Several McDonald's locations across the nation are reportedly offering free vaccines with their fast food. So would you like a side of a hepatitis A shot with your Happy Meal? This is obviously pretty bizarre considering that they've had record financial downfall as millions of people are becoming very aware of all of the synthetic ingredients that are in their food. So now they're going to directly inject people with synthetic-laden booster shots. Line up for that. Now, coming up later in the show, Alex Jones is going to be in studio with Rob Dew and our producer, Marcos Morales. They're going to be adding their voice to the vaccine debate with a very personal story of how it affected their children. But first, we want to give you an update on what's going on with ISIS.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created.